But do we have to wait until Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi retire from football to see another Ballon d'Or winner? That's a big question. Hello and welcome. You're watching Sports This Morning. I'm Cecilia Omogbe. First, the headlines. Can Kano Pillars maintain their grip on Nigerian Basketball League? And will First Deepwater reclaim their women's title? The jump ball is in March. We have to wait to see what will happen this season. And it's 3 for Cristiano Ronaldo, just 1 behind Messi. He wants to improve on his game. Guess he just won't stop at 4, maybe 5. Who knows what will happen in the next 2 or 3 years, because this man is not ready to actually give up on winning this title. Also on the program, NBA championship winners San Antonio Spurs had to rub shoulders with the most powerful man on planet Earth. Well, let's just see how that happens. And after that, Chinasa Iboye will be joining me. And of course, Tayo Salam will also be joining me on the program. Let's enjoy it.
Accompanied by Coach Greg Popovich and R.C. Buford.
In case you didn't know, these are the NBA champion San Antonio Spurs. I was considering having... Now, look, I admit it, I'm a Bulls fan. It's never easy celebrating a non-Bulls team in the White House. That's all I've been able to do. So far. But even I have to admit that the Spurs are hard to dislike. First of all, they're old. And for an old guy, it makes me feel good to see, you know, where's Tim? You know, Tim's got some gray. There's a few others, you know, with little sprinkles around here. Since drafting Tim Duncan in 1997, they've won 5 titles. Tim has now won rings 15 years apart, only the second player in history to win titles in 3 different decades. Tim and Tony and Manu have won more playoff games than any trio in NBA history.
Mostly, I would just like to say thank you to the President and for all the people here for having us. It truly is an honor to be here, and for me, the most satisfying part is to be able to be with all these guys. They truly have gotten over themselves. They care about the group more than the individual.
All righty. There you go. That's sharp. Very nice, very nice. Thank you. Do I get to keep this too? Why don't we strike the podium down? One more ball for you. Oh, we got a ball? That's a nice looking ball. Right? Thank you for signing it, Hand out the ball for Tony.
San Antonio Spurs, of course, a wonderful one for them. Remember how they actually thrashed the Miami Heat in the NBA Championship Finals. Chinasa Iboye is with me this morning. Chinasa, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Cecilia. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
San Antonio Spurs, what can you say about them? thrashed, you used the right word, thrashed in Miami Heat. That was the NBA Finals last year. You know, after what happened the previous year,
It's 4 games to 1.
after they won, Miami Heat took the games in 7 games, took the championship in 7 games after the previous year. Before last, we all felt it was going to be sort of close the game, but San Antonio didn't want to make that mistake. They didn't want to let it linger. They just got it over and done with in 5 games. And good one, Tim Duncan. Wow, 15 years in the NBA, he's won 5 titles in 15 years. You know, I don't think there are a lot of people that have won titles in a span of 15 years. You know, I don't think there are lots of them. So, big one, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili. As in, the Spurs, we call them. Me and my colleague call them the team of veterans.
Yes, of course.
Like, it's like they've been there forever.
Boston Celtics had that before, but somehow
Boston Celtics, I wouldn't.
They were not really dominating. That's the difference.
No, it's not that. The big three at Boston didn't come up together. They were courtesy of trades. You know, bringing in Ray Allen, bringing in Kevin Garnett. You know, but these guys have been together for a long time. Tony Parker, his first club has been, his only club in the NBA has been the San Antonio Spurs. Tim Duncan was drafted by the San Antonio Spurs. Manu Ginobili, the same thing. So they've been together. They're the original big three because after them, you now started having the big three, the likes of the Boston Celtics big three, the Miami Heat's big three, now the Cleveland Cavaliers big three, you know, but they are the original big three.
And they're still there.
They're still doing the job, still getting the job done.
Yeah. That's the reason, because we checked the Miami Heat, they just couldn't maintain that.
At all.
Of course, Boston Celtics could not maintain it also. But San Antonio Spurs, what happened to them this season? They haven't really been having the best.
That's the thing about San Antonio. Don't worry about the regular season for them. Regular season, they might just barely make it to the playoffs, but once they get to the postseason, that is where, you know, it begins to count, because the postseason is about 7 games or less than 7 games. It's a straight knockout, straight shootout. So they are experienced enough. They know how to handle it. Once they get to the postseason, be very, very wary of the Spurs.
You start seeing the very best
Definitely.
of them. Okay, now let's talk about our own Nigerian basketball league. It's going to start March this year. And of course, it should have started earlier, you know, because of elections and all that. So Nigerian Basketball Federation decided to say, okay, we have to give them time to actually prepare. Now, for the men, it's going to start on the 6th of March. That's the jump off for the 6th of March. That's for the DSTV Men Basketball League. And for the women, you have the first phase and the second phase. That will start on the 15th of March. But now, talking about Canopilas, they've won the title 4 times. Now, would they also be able to win it when it starts?
Yeah, the way it's going, because I think Caterpillar is like the all-star team when it comes to Nigerian basketball. Every big player, every big name is in Caterpillar, so definitely they are ones to watch out for. It reminds me of what used to happen in the female league when these guys, was it First Bank or one of them? Before First Bank, when they were totally dominating the female basketball section in Nigeria before First Deporter came around. So right now it's all about Canopilas. The Down Warriors, Mac Mentors, the rest of them, it's all about Canopilas. It will be hard for me to see anybody breaking, collecting the title.
So you think they'll go definitely for a 4th one?
Yeah, I think they will.
Okay. You'll definitely be having some newly promoted side coming into the fold. You're having a Delta Force and FCT Rocks. Those of them will be coming into the top side from Savannah Conferences and, of course, Atlantic Conference. So 13 other teams will definitely want to jostle for that title that Canopilas have been winning 3 times in a row now. So should they be able to win it this time around? It should be 4 times in a row for them. Now, talking about the women, Zenith Bank, Zenith, I'm talking about the Zenith League Basketball Women League, and talking about the First Deporter. They won it 4 times in a row. And of course, you just had last season, you had the First Bank, of course, coming in to take it away from them. What's the possibility of them reclaiming it?
It's going to be between both teams again, as usual. First Bank and First Deporter. First Deporter, maybe they got complacent, they got very comfortable, or you would say First Bank, knowing that this used to be their title, this used to be theirs. They had been fighting for a long time to get it, and they finally got it back from First Deporter. So it's going to be tough. I cannot really, put my heart in this one and say I think it's going to be First Deporter. I think it's going to be First Bank. They are both fierce competitors, great rivals. So definitely. If they get to when they get to meet each other, it's almost always going to be just a point, 2 points, so a very, very close game. So I cannot stick out my neck
There's
for
actually
either
a
team.
new team, Dolphins. Remember
Dolphins,
what
yeah.
they did at the 2014 African Champions Cup campaign in November. Do you think they actually coming back to want to get something
Yeah,
up?
Dolphins have been there. The Sunshine Queens,
Yes, Ocean
yeah, they've
Kingdoms.
been there. Some of these teams on the periphery every time, but every time it's sometimes disappointing. It always boils down to First
First Bank
Bank
and
and First Deepwater. So it's the two teams. I'm not looking beyond them.
Okay, well, for the women, the first phase is going to start in Abuja on the 15th to 25th of March. And for the men, 6th of March, that's when it's starting. Well, I believe basketball fans will definitely enjoy the very best of it this season when it finally starts. Now, that's the jump off for the women. Okay, now, talking about the Super Eagles, the home-based Eagles. Now, the game asked Tayo yesterday what he felt about their performance. It was really good. I'm going to ask you again, before I talk about what Yaya Toure actually said. What do you think about their performance?
I think it was good. I think for a team that wasn't together for a long time, the season just ended a couple of weeks ago. You got them together. They had a little bit of training session, and they were able to hold their more experienced, more illustrious opponents. Holding them to just a goal. And it wasn't like they were containing the Ivorians. They actually gave them a good game. They had their own chances. It was a beautiful game of football. I liked the fact that they were able to stand up to the Ivorians. Even the goal the Ivorians got was very, very an error. It could have just been goalless, or it could have gotten a goal. But football, somebody will always tell you, if a team doesn't make an error, somebody else might not score.
Yeah,
But in the end, the Ivorians got the win. But I was very impressed by the home-based team.
Performance. Okay, now let me get to take a quote from Yaya Toure. That's the guy who captained them during the game. He said, okay, at a point I had to tell my teammates to slow down the pace of the game. And when we scored, we could not wait for the final whistle because the boys were all over us. They must be commended for their confident display. Now, even it was Daniel Amokaji that had to convince him that, look, these are all home-based players except the guy who came in from Switzerland. So that's the only guy who happens not to be based in Nigeria. I think it's really, how do I put it, an advertisement for Nigerian Premier League.
Yeah.
If our boys can really play like
our
this.
Our boys have shown what they are capable of doing. We saw the Chan. We saw our home-based team take on the South African side at home in South Africa and totally destroy the South African team by 3-0. And we know that the South African national team, Bafana Bafana, is mostly made up of players from the PSL. And the same South African team, when it got to the qualifiers, we couldn't get a victory over them in both legs, away or home. What would have happened if we had used this home-based players? Because one thing you have to know about these guys, they are hungry. They really want to show what they are capable of doing.
You're going somewhere. Wait, let me take this out of your mouth, right out of your mouth. You're like saying that, okay, we should have used home-based players only for qualifiers.
Not only. We should stop using them as training materials.
Okay.
We should begin to integrate a lot of them into the national side, because these guys are hungry. They want to expose their talent to the world. They want to show the world what they are capable of doing. And when they have the opportunity, they always tend to grab it. My point is, when you bring players from Europe that are apparently not starters, they are not regulars, what they mostly do in their clubs is just to train and sit on the bench against these boys that are playing regularly, week in, week out here. And trust me, it's different when you feel the action regularly than when you just sit down and watch it. So I think we should use more.
Okay, rubbing shoulders with the best of the world is not just enough.
And make the foreign-based players sit up and know that these guys are not playing. These guys, if you give them, this is something this man has done in South Africa, Shakes Mashaba. He sort of shook up the national team, bringing in hungrier boys from the PSL to replace the more established ones. And look at what is happening now with the South African football team. So I think it's high time we begin to appreciate players playing in the local league. You have players. Remember the time where we used to have 12 goals, 13 goals as the highest goal scorers in the league. We had players on 16 goals. We had players on 18 goals, 23, 24. I was very impressed with Peter Ebimobowe scoring 18 goals without a penalty. Come on, it just shows you the quality of what...
Definitely going to see him this season now. He's moved.
He's moved to Al-Ali, I just heard. You know, so it just shows you that these boys that are based locally can actually do something if they are given the opportunity.
Okay, watching us, thank you so much for being part of the show. Of course, Tayo Salam will be joining me on the second part. No, he's still upset that Manu Neuer didn't get to win it, but he should have known that he was a stopper, you know. He was actually a former goalkeeper, but he's actually not part of Channel's Bombers anyway. Okay, we'll just enjoy how Cristiano Ronaldo won that award, and of course, he was really humble. You get to see Cristiano Ronaldo shedding tears for a second time. When he won it last year, same thing happened, but this time around, the same thing happened for Cristiano Ronaldo. A joyful one for him.
What an incredible lineup.
The winner is Nadine Kessler.
The winner is Cristiano Ronaldo.
Hello. That's wonderful. Congratulations again to Cristiano. Congratulations to all of tonight's winners.